Hello. Hello. Okay. All right. Good evening again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to the Kabuki Theater and this CamFest World Premiere centerpiece screening of Bitter Melon. My name is Tim Sika, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the San Francisco Film Critics Circle and its president, Randy Myers of the San Jose Mercury News. Before we begin the festivities here tonight, I want to thank Masashi Niwano and CamFest for their gracious invitation to be here tonight. We have a lot to get to. The cast of the movie and the crew, as you've been told already, are here, and we're going to introduce them all to you in short order. But before we do, I wanted to say, in the interest of full disclosure, I have no objectivity about this film. I saw it months ago and was asked to provide feedback for it, and when it was over, I was literally a sobbing mess. So I have no objectivity, and I just wanted to say that I probably, like a lot of you in the audience tonight, just unreservedly love it, and I love this movie. So with that out of the way, I was going to say I can be normal here, you know, like Declan says, his ex says to him in that scene, can you just be normal? And Declan's like, normal. Anyway, we're going to talk about Bitter Melon here, and you will all have an opportunity to ask questions. But before we do, and before we introduce you to the cast and crew, I'm going to reintroduce the man who made it all possible, the movie's writer, editor, co-composer, and director. He is a Filipino-American filmmaker and artist, best known for his micro-budget work as screenwriter, composer, and lyricist, home of the musical, as well as his award-winning directorial effort, I Am a Ghost. He also wrote, directed, and composed the music for, he's also an actor, too, in case you didn't know, the award-winning feature film Fruit Fly. In 2012, he was inducted into Essential SF by the San Francisco Film Society. In short, he is in my opinion, the amazing, multi-talented, and dare I say, brilliant, I'm going to say brilliant, Bay Area filmmaking treasure, who also happens to be one of the sweetest guys I know. Please give it up with San Francisco gusto for Bitter Melon's H.P. Mendoza. You need to be in this light here. All right, fucking A, man.
Fucking A, man. Hi, Tim.
Hi, how are you doing? Did you get sleep last night?
I got some sleep.
Really?
I'm breathing right now. I was in the back the whole time, just holding my breath. But yeah.
Do they really make green tea Kit Kats?
Oh yeah.
Really? Oh, okay.
They have soy sauce Kit Kats too.
All right. You may kill me for this first question here, but I think this movie pulsates with so much feeling and emotion and truth. It had to have come, from some extent, been lived by the person that wrote it. How much of Bitter Melon really happened, and how much is H.P. Mendoza? I know you love talking about yourself.
Yeah, well, my family's actually here, and I
why don't you step in the light there? Yeah, okay.
My family's actually here, and I actually got the green light before I got my Chronicle interview. I called my mom. I'm like, hey, so can I talk about stuff? And she gave me the green light. So yeah, I mean, this came from experience. And if I could be honest, you know, when I first wrote it in '97, it was called He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. It wasn't the same script. It was a lot wackier. You know,
Yeah.
and I thought I was being really dark, but it was like dark like in the way that a guy who just saw Death Becomes Her thinks that that's a black comedy, you know? Because it was so gory and violent that it wasn't dark. Does that make any sense? And I think what happened was, as I would keep on going and just kind of revisiting the script, it felt less and less dark to me, because that was written by a 21-year-old who hadn't worked through his shit yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was always that guy that's like, oh, I know how to make it look like I'm tough. I'll laugh at myself. So I made this super, super comedic comedy. And yeah, it wasn't until maybe around 2016 when I started revisiting this. And yeah, it was not easy, but it was much easier for me to say, okay, you know what? I think what I need to do is honor the actual drama of this by being honest with my feelings. So yeah, I'm Declan. I didn't kill anyone.
Well, it's just between you and me. Did you want to applaud that? Somebody was applauding. Regarding questions that you've received from people over the years regarding Bitter Melon, I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. You stated somewhere that you you have been told indirectly, I guess, because of the questions you received by folks, that your existence as a Filipino man, a Filipino gay man, was, quote, inconveniently convoluted. And I loved that phrase. Could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, that was something that was said. Now I'll give some context. Basically, we had a bunch of test screenings because this whole production of Bitter Melon was basically about like getting the DIY dude who's been doing this for 15 years and a bunch of experts saying like, we're going to show you how to make a real movie, which is cool. I love that, but I'd never done test screenings either. And the test screenings are great, right? There's a lot of value in that, but sometimes you have people filling out the digital questionnaires saying things like, well, the story isn't necessarily Filipino. Have you considered shooting with regular actors? Or people like we had this one actor show up at a test screening, saying, I can't tell anybody apart. They all look the same to me. I'm not going to call them out by name.
Really? They actually
because we
said
love
that?
George. Sorry.
Oh, man.
So the inconveniently convoluted thing was someone who said, "Oh, your lead character is both Filipino."
So they pick you up nice on film.
Your lead character is both Filipino and gay. Too many identities, too inconveniently convoluted for the plot. And I remember thinking to myself as I'm reading this, just like my spirit was just sinking. I'm like, so I'm inconvenient to everyone's narrative. That's really interesting. I didn't think I had to create some cipher, It was either coming through test screenings or like production meetings where people would just kind of chime in, and I think I've been very gracious through all of this. I'm not the one who's to jump on the table and say like, you're a bigot, but because I also want to know who's going to be watching this film too, right? So that's where that specific quote comes from.
I seem to remember you telling me, and again, I hope I'm not talking out of turn, but wasn't there a scene in the movie where, when it was being filmed behind the camera, you were like uncontrollably sobbing?
Yeah. Oh man, this is coming out. What's the first screening? This is where I get it all out. That's great. Yeah, the reveal that Dad's still in town, and Declan goes back up to the family and kind of calls them out, and I wasn't the only one. I mean, I kind of pity the actors who had to stay there and not cry, because the whole time that John Norman Schneider was just kind of getting unhinged. He's the actor who plays Declan, who's here, who you're going to see in a little bit.
You're going to meet in a minute here.
I was just breaking. I think I'm going to break right now. So I think what happened was I kept my composure, and when I finally said, cut, we've got this, my husband ran out because he was in a different room, and he's one of the producers of the film. He ran out, and he just grabbed me, and he was just sobbing uncontrollably. And so was I. I mean, we've been married for, we've been together for 12 years, so he knows everything about me. So he just recognized things about the scene, and he just couldn't believe what he was hearing. He wasn't even watching it. He was in the next room, just hearing this screaming. And I had to go and take a walk for a little bit and just kind of not, be that guy, I guess. But I came back, and John Norman walking down the stairs, and it was kind of this weird not weird, but it was this profound wordless communication where I just hugged him, and I kind of sobbed a little bit more, and that was it.
You mentioned, I was told before I came on that we've got about maybe 15 more minutes, so maybe it would be a good idea. You mentioned John Norman, and your cast is stellar. I mean, they're all brilliant.
They are.
So I don't know. Why don't you do the honors and introduce some of them? Or I don't know how we're going to do this. We won't be able to bring everybody up here.
I know, because the whole crew is here, the whole cast is here, and just if I can fast forward a second, we are all going to be at MacGuffin's, the little restaurant over here. So if you want to talk at length about certain things, but for now, I think what we should do is probably call up the main cast. If
you do the honors, you want me to do it?
Yes.
I'm from radio, so I always need notes. Of course, yeah. Here we go. All right. Let's first bring up here Theresa Navarro, who played Shelley. There she is. L.A. Renigen, who played Tiva, who you've seen in many of HP's films. Where is she? There she is. You can keep the applause going until they get up here, you know, that's, yeah. Amelie Anima, who played Mina. Josephine de Jesus, who played Theresa. Where is she? There she is. Brian Rivera, Mo.
¡Órale, vato!
Patrick Epino, who played Troy. Hey, man. Okay, and John Norman Schneider, who played Declan.
Good job.
You know, I have a whole bunch of questions, but I don't want to monopolize this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the mic in the audience so we can pick up everybody and everybody can hear your questions. But what I like to do before I run up there is ask the cast. You are all amazing, you guys. Truly, truly beautiful performances. What was, you can just go down the line and answer this if you want, or you can pass. But what was the best piece of direction HP gave you while you were filming this? And I'm going to go in the crowd.
Is that a pass?
I just need time to think. I just saw that movie for the first time. I'm still processing.
HP was really good about just in general telling me, just kind of getting me into a certain headspace. You know, like when you play, I guess essentially a bad guy, I think a good bad guy kind of more or less like believes what he's doing is right, and he exists in his own head. So I think, you know, talking to HP a lot about it ahead of time was, it was good to kind of get me there to, you know, play this dude that's totally not like me.
I can't speak to like one single instance, but I think just overall, just the HP instills such trust and care, and it was very much like, you know, not just with like the serious dramatic moments, but like with even comedic stuff. He made it a safe place for it, and the crew, and so it's just overall, it just felt there's a lot of trust going around, which is wonderful and appreciated.
Along that same note, I would have to say, with creating the safe space, the one scene that really did stick out in my mind too, that when we were filming, was the it coming out that the dad was still around. I remember being in the living room, and just the energy that was around with the space that HP created. I remember like we all felt that the scene. I guess I don't have a way to really describe it, but it was just, we felt the intensity and the weight of the scene, and we knew that we were all a part of something really special, and I think that was a very special day for all of us. Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Okay, being with under director HP in this project, I'm very proud that I was able to be a part of this movie. And I just trusted him when he says, okay, let's take it, we do it. Then he'll say, that's very good, but let's take another take. So, yeah. Thank you so much for the trust and the chance to be working with you and to be in this movie. Thank you so much to the whole cast of my 3 sons and the whole Santos family. Thank you.
I think this is our third film together. and it's been 4th. So it's been really beautiful working with you over the last decade. We premiered Fruit Fly here in 2008, and I was like, didn't know what I was doing, and still, coming back to work with you and having these conversations over the phone, San Francisco, New York, still feeling these butterflies and not, confident in. It's just so many conversations that HP and I have had about this character in particular, and for me, I think the scene that stuck out actually was the Skype scene. And it's, there's so many heavy scenes in this film, but I think it's those moments of joy and authentic kind of Filipino togetherness that I've never seen depicted on screen before. And, there were a lot of takes of that one in particular, and I think there was something about that scene that I just looked at HP and I just couldn't stop laughing. And part of that really was because it's like, this is amazing. We're making an effing Filipino movie. For real. Like, it was great. And so thank you for doing this and for putting this together and for trusting us with this project.
Well, Grandma, I was going to say, when Grandma pulled out that cell phone, that was priceless.
I was really glad I could be a part of this project with all of this amazing cast and HP. And since I was one of the youngest people doing it, I wasn't really sure how it worked and how this was supposed to go. I was kind of confused and concerned that I would do something wrong. And then HP made it really, and the entire cast actually made it really comfortable for me to just be myself and to kind of be able to be a cocky person and just to be Mina. And I really appreciate that from everyone that I've worked with. So thank you, and thank you for letting me be part of this.
If anybody wants to ask a question, I'll bring the mic over. But HP, was my understanding that the film was it was partially funded and supported by the SF Film Society. I thought the ultimate end game was that it was going to be screened at the San Francisco International Film Festival, but it was absent from the programming this year. Can I ask why it wasn't screened, or no?
Why it wasn't?
It wasn't. Yeah, I sort of expected to see it at SF International.
I don't know, but it's within the realm of possibility that I was taken into the San Francisco Film Society and their film house based on the script of Bitter Melon in the hopes that they could pimp diversity to the folks in San Francisco who previously accused them of being exclusively white, but then shied away from my movie at potential controversy like the chicken shit starfuckers they are. But your guess is mine, Tim.
Hands? Just raise your hand, I'll come over again. Oh, did you want anything else you want to say about that? I know the film hasn't been widely shown, but have you been getting any negative feedback about, I don't know how to say this, airing dirty laundry, quote unquote?
You mean like making a daddy issue film, or?
Yeah, it is isn't it?
It is. I was like, I'm 41. Now's the time to do it, right? Because any later than that, it's like, get over it. The truth is, if you look at all the movies that I've done, they all kind of address really similar things. Even I Am a Ghost. It's a horror movie, but it still tackles identity, and I love when there is like that segment of the viewer of the viewing audience who does catch like the trans narrative in that too. And it's true that there is. I do have issues with masculinity. It's not a predilection. It's a preoccupation of mine. Being a gay man and being a gay Asian man just kind of adds multiple layers on top of that, and it's not just one more layer. It's exponential because the idea of the Asian man being a lesser man than a quote unquote regular man. Being gay on top of that is just. It just makes it part of my narrative, right? So it's going to come out. I haven't had much negative feedback about that. I think what you might have heard was, I think, and this is something that I knew I would run into, is people are wondering if it's such a good idea to have a movie in which the abuser is let go. Right. Even when I wrote it back then, I was like, well, that's something I'm going to have to deal with. But I do want this to be that movie where, you know, I mean, Declan even says in the film, we're going to go to the root of all of our pain and kill it, you know.
Right.
And is Troy really the root? No, not so much.
Well, I think when Mo, to me, what the movie was about was when Mo said, "We made this monster."
Right.
That's really what it was. To me, what it was about, and
Right.
and all the attendant whatevers that go with that. And then Lisa had that great speech. where she
Anna
just,
Ishida, the ghost from I Am a Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was phenomenal.
I thought somebody raised their hand or called me or something. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Is it intentional that the dad is not here, or is he?
He was. Yes, I mean, this is the nuclear family basically, and I was hoping to like continue outside. But is Vint Carmona in the house? He's like in character. He's like he's not even here. No, he's not here. No.
How was Mina protected from the kind of violence of the film?
This will, you guys might either think this is really great and caring, or controversial and shitty. So basically, Amelie herself asked, "Am I going to have to see anyone get hit?" And I said, "You know what I think you should do? You should actually help me choreograph the scene. You know, like so you see exactly what it takes to make something look this way." And I remember you were kind of nervous at first, and then like by the end of the rehearsal, she became the director. She's like, "Yeah, that doesn't, no, try it again." And then finally her saying like, "Okay, yeah, I think that'll work." And when I got the that'll work, I was like, okay, so you're okay with this. And she and her parents are here, Mario Anima and Dee Anima. They were really good about just talking about this scene with me. We're good friends, and I think between all of us, we kind of talked about how some families go through this. So it was, and for the record, I mean, Amelie is an actor. I mean, she's been in a lot of plays, and so she puts herself in different roles all the time. And I think once she got past the mechanics of what the abuse would be, it was easier for her to slip into the role.
Oh, hi, I'm Julie Sue. I'm one of the San Francisco commissioners on the San Francisco Commission on the Status of Women. And I've also performed with Filipino Women's Network, the Vagina Monologues, to bring awareness about domestic violence. I was shocked, out of a cast of 42, only 2 of us had not seen domestic violence firsthand. So those are the statistics. I'm an honorary Filipino, I'm actually Chinese American. And I was wondering if you thought that this film would be a vehicle for people to discuss domestic violence and to try to heal from it, because it was my experience from performing that there were actually people that would come out and finally talk about it and address it with their families.
I'm actually really glad you asked that, because
if you get in the spotlight, they can see better.
I'm glad you asked that, because I think that was my only goal, was discussion. You know, I didn't want a didactic or pedantic ending that's prescriptive about what you're supposed to do. I'm definitely not saying you should kill people, but I do. You know, I did think, well, you know, what's going to happen at these test audiences? Because the thing about test audiences and test screenings is people don't walk in saying, let's see what art this is. And for the record, when I say I create art, that's not a qualitative thing. I'm not saying there's some continuum in which one end you have like shitty movies and on the other end you have art. I'm just saying that I don't do it for commercial gain, so I'm an artist. I'm not saying I make good art. That's my intent. So when it comes to art, I feel like it's better in contexts like this, where I just kind of hand it over to you and you take what you want from it, right? But at test screenings, you have people like kind of walking in saying like, what shall I hate? And I think what a lot of people wanted was not discussion. They didn't really want discussion. They wanted answers. You know, like, well, what are they supposed to do? You know, what's up with that final shot, that still frame at the end of the movie? And of course, I'm like, do I have to spell it out? The future's female and brown. That's what that still frame's about. But I do hope, because we actually did have a sneak preview through Cinematographer in Los Angeles recently, and I think one of the most intense things that Patrick and LA and I saw was me saying, hey, we're being shooed out of the theater, so there's the exit, we'll see everyone outside. And then everyone just kind of like walked to the stage and they just wanted to talk. And one more thing I will say to that I thought was interesting was at one test screening there was the wife of a crew member who was just glaring at me and saying like, I don't understand why anybody would go back to their husband after being beaten the night before. And she was just like, you could just see the fury in her face. And like later on at the same question session, someone else said, that's how things happen in immigrant households.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope people talk about this.
You know, we have there's a lot to talk about, but we're being given the hook because there's another screening in here at 9. So
it's like showtime at the Apollo.
Yeah, but we're going to be where in the thing down there. So what is it?
MacGuffins.
The MacGuffins.
We'll be there.
Yeah, and really, if you like the movie, if you love the movie, which yes, we're assuming you go on Facebook and social media and tell everybody that they need to see it here at CamFest. There's 2 more screenings, I think, but one's sold out already, right?
Yeah, the Roxy sold out, but we have one more.
Anyway, just spread the word, and HP Mendoza, the cast, Bitter
Thank
Melon.
you so much. Thank you.